Hey Haley, how are you doing? Hey George, hey Anna, how's it all going? Just waiting for the man himself, Tej. Hey Jack, looking forward to getting you on the show next week, mate. Evening Stan. Hey Rob, hey Sarah. Tej's late shock. That is right. He's just adding the suspense. Hey Ryan, how you doing? Thanks for coming in, mate. Hope everyone is doing well tonight. Anyone want to give Tej a kick? Anyone's got their phone nearby? He's got his phone number. Hey, here we go. Hello, Tej. It's not letting me add you, Tej. There we go. We're in. Cheers, George.
Greetings.
Hello, sir. How you doing?
I'm alright. Am I late or something?
Fashionably late, mate, as always.
You know what? I was having a nap like half an hour before this, and I got up half an hour early, but I was still late. So yeah, good going there.
I thought you meant literally you'd just been nudged and woken up.
I didn't even get. George hasn't sent me a message unless he sent it on. I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Oh,
But
okay.
I'm here. I'm here now.
Yeah, well, thanks for joining me, mate. Thanks for joining me. I think there's plenty of people on now, so I think we'll jump straight in. I will give everyone a quick intro of why we're doing this. I think if anyone's ever seen our grid before, you'll know that we post about 50% of the stuff we post is mindset. It's a really big kind of deal to us. We realised quite early on that mindset is key in kind of more than just your property journey. And so we wanted to just set up the mindset and motivation series to get some great guests on and talk about kind of all things mindset, hopefully give out some techniques and some tools and tips and ideas and thoughts about mindset to give you guys all the best kind of mindset possible. So tonight, day one, got the wonderful Tej Singh joining us. Do you want to I've actually sent this out to kind of more than just the property community, so I don't know if we've got anyone on that's non-property related. So if you want to give yourself a quick introduction, and for anyone who somehow doesn't know who you are.
So my name is Tej. I have a podcast called Tej Talks. You can see it on my top. I've been in property for 8 or 9 months full time, and I spent about 6 months before that networking, meeting people, buying people dinner, doing things to kind of understand property and basically avoid paying for training is the truth on why I spent 6 months doing that. I've purchased 15 properties in the last 8 months, and I've raised £598,000 of investors' money using social media and my brand. So it's been very, very difficult, and it still is. So I guess what I want to kind of say is, if you follow me or if you don't follow me and you're about to, there's going to be a lot of realism on investing in property, and like Andrew said about mindset. So
Great.
that is who I am.
That's great. I think that's what people need to and should hear, and not necessarily near. It's good to hear the happy clappy stuff in the courses, and it's what get you involved, and they're the kind of dreams that you want to aspire to. But I think it's good to hear the real side of it as well, and understand that there's going to be plenty of hurdles along the way, and it's not going to be all kind of sipping margaritas on the beach whilst these properties fund everything that's going on. So I'm going to jump straight into what you've already said. Then you've already teed me up nicely. So you spend plenty of money on dinners. How are you coping without your Nando's?
It's been tough, I've kind of just not been thinking about it, because if I do, I'll start spiraling, and then I'll just be in fetal position, like just chicken. So I'm making do with my liter bottle of Nando's chili sauce.
No way.
You can you can be as I don't know, connected online, and you can still have chats, and you can do this sort of thing. But there's nothing like standing next to someone or standing in front of someone. It's kind of, I've just been realizing you really miss that physical, I don't know, the connection that you have, I guess, and that is what I think I miss more than anything.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think it's a whole new world with all this Zoom meetings and Instagram lives, and it's been amazing. We've been setting up kind of daily Zoom calls every morning with kind of someone new, and we've been making some brilliant new connections. But yeah, I mean, human interaction and actually being able to hug your family member or whatever, it's definitely something that's not going to be. It's not going to go away once lockdown ends. We'll all be running back to each other, won't we?
Basically, yeah, maybe with like shields on and stuff, but yeah, I think it'll come back. But saying that, there is an opportunity in doing what you're doing, because if we were in work normally,
Yeah,
whether you work, whether you're self-employed, you wouldn't necessarily be doing this stuff. You'd be like, oh, we'll meet someone, when we meet them. You wouldn't kind of force yourself to do it like you are, which is awesome.
no, great. Seriously, appreciate that. So, Bass, still sticking to Nando's. I'm not letting you get away from me that quickly. You mentioned your Nando's budget. What exactly is your Nando's budget?
Yeah, so your average property course costs, for like a kind of, I don't know, like a beginner's sort of 3 or 4 day thing that just gives you like the real broad kind of knowledge, probably costs about 1,500, sorry,
Yeah,
1,497.
gonna get it right.
Let me correct that. Maybe you get it for a grand, but let's say that's how much it's going to cost you, right? Now, I'm not saying anything is wrong with this apart from the many courses that are shit. Apart from that, there are ones which are good, of course, and there has to be, like there has to be. There are ones that are good, but I think the benefit of those is, look, you have 3 days and you walk out of there and you should have all the knowledge and all the stuff you kind of need to get started. I mean, for doing that in 3 days from and being, a zero to something after 3 days is awesome, right? Like,
Yeah.
pros to, it's a great thing. However, you don't necessarily build the connections. You obviously spend a lot of money, and you're not going to necessarily learn the little tips and tricks, especially if the people teaching you are quite old school, have been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Now they're just sort of, teaching. You want someone who's in it, doing it right now, like us. And that's why people like watching this and why people are on this live and listen to the podcast. So I kind of suggested, without realizing I did this, is have like a Nando's budget. So what if you put not even a grand, let's say you put like 500 quid aside, yeah, so a third of the price, and you spent it on coffees, Nando's £11.10 on average. So how many of those could you get in for 500? I mean, a lot, right?
Yeah.
Coffees, what are they? I mean, where you are, they're like 50p, I'm sure. But in London, they're like, I don't know, a fiver for a coffee? I don't know. Yeah, you could go on Facebook, go on Instagram, and say, hey, can I pick your brains? Are you around for coffee, for dinner, for tea at this time? Can I buy you this as a fair exchange? Chicken for knowledge, or vegan chicken for the vegans.
Yeah.
That's a fair exchange to me. And then you can sit there for an hour or so with like an expert, learn everything about their strategy, their challenges, what they're doing, how they're doing it, all the little nuances and the mistakes they've made for the same price, if not a lot less, than a training course. But it will take you months, weeks. Like it will, you know what I mean? Like it won't just happen like that. And that's the kind of pros and cons. And I think for me, the saving money aspect was a lot more important than the speed. So, and I've come out of it with tons of relationships that I can call on for whatever. And that is, I think that's priceless.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think it's also it's getting away from that kind of get rich quick mentality as well. That I'm going to go on this 3 day course, and don't get me wrong, the first 3 day course we did exactly what you said. It took us from that absolutely no knowledge whatsoever in property to okay, I could go out and do this, and it was great, but what you're saying gets you away from that get rich quick mentality. I'm going to do this course, and then in a couple of weeks' time, I'll have 10 properties, and I'll be chilling. And as well, like you said, it builds those connections, and it gives you that contact with people when you need it. So you can, you've got a problem and you want someone to lean upon. That's when you whip out the Nando's budget and see if someone's free for a meetup. That's why we've later on now decided to go down the mentor route for that same reason. So we have someone who's there when we need them. It's not about 3 day course chucking loads of information at us that we might not necessarily need or
Yeah.
even need to apply right there and then, and have forgotten by the time we do need to use it.
Yep, happens a lot. Yeah.
So I fell into the Nando's budget trap, but I didn't get paid for though. I'll just put that out there, guys. Don't think your Nando's budget gets paid. Your Nando gets paid for when you go to the Nando's budget. And if I remember rightly, our first meet up was over at Nando's, and it escalated very quickly. And before you knew it, we were talking all things stoicism and Seneca and Marcus Aurelius, and yeah, it was getting pretty deep pretty quickly. But you also remember they were burning all the chicken, and it absolutely stank of smoke in there. And to the point where we actually thought the fire alarm was going to go off. But anyway, that's a side note. So
I remember my clothes stunk.
I know that you're into your stoicism. I see that you read the Daily Stoic every day by Ryan Holiday, which I do definitely need to get a copy of. I've read his kind of Obstacle is the Way, Ego is the Enemy, two of his other books. I just wondered if you could tell people who might not necessarily know what Stoicism is. What is it?
Yeah, so I think by the book, it's a philosophical school of thought, I guess, is maybe what it technically would be, a kind of way of living good. I think it was invented, many, many years ago in I'm going to say ancient Rome, I believe it was. I always get confused in ancient Rome and ancient Greece, but that's the book, that's the stuff on paper. That's not necessarily important. What is really important is it's essentially like a philosophy that is all about not just sitting there and philosophizing and saying, oh, what would one do? But it's actually saying and teaching you how you should live a good, virtuous life. And I think the main theme is being virtuous. That means being a good person, not chasing materialistic objects, and essentially learning that everything is internal. So everything that, like, I don't know, these quotes from Shakespeare, these quotes from, like, you could even say the Buddha and any religion, depending on when they started, they're all basically saying the same thing. But I think Stoicism puts it in such a non-spiritual, non-religious, very objective way. And it basically says, as Shakespeare said, nothing is good or bad, but thinking makes it so. Yeah. So it really brings you down to the thing of, okay, something went wrong in your business, something happened in your business, but you thought something went wrong. What you're not seeing is that you're putting the wrongness on it. Like, nothing has sentiment, nothing has a perception. We perceive it in a certain way. So it's all about essentially changing how you perceive things. Or someone makes like a kind of comment to you. Do you perceive that as, oh, that's good feedback, when you ignore the kind of rubbish? Or do you take it as, oh, they're attacking me? That then leads to the next thing of Stoicism, which other things say as well, is to get rid of your ego. And it's not ego in the boastful sense. It is, but it's not like the traditional colloquial term of ego. It's that thing inside you that gives you road rage, that makes you want to say what you're really thinking to someone. It's the kind of person, or it's the kind of the chimp, if you've read like the Chimp Paradox, anyone who's read. And so Stoicism basically kind of teaches you how to get rid of the ego, how to recognize it, and how to live a good, virtuous life, but not with like philosophical just bullshit. It's just very direct, and it kind of feels like it's telling you off in some points, because they are, in a way. But I think it's, useful now, what, 1,000 years on from when it first started? It's still just as useful.
You say that's telling you off, but I think you're spot on. It's very pragmatic. It's very, this is the reality of the situation, and just look at it very objectively, almost kind of out of body. If it wasn't happening to you, how would you
Yeah.
look at this and object it? But I'd say it's not. I think people can read it and probably feel like it's quite heavy and it's quite difficult, and it's like, oh my god, I've got to be this perfect human being with kind of no emotion. But actually, I don't think it's like that. I think it's very accepting of okay, you are still human, you are going to get emotional, but it's understanding and realizing that you're getting emotional and taking that step back. And even as well, also, is that it's okay to get emotional if that emotional is kind of useful. There's a
Mm.
point to be angry. There is points to be angry about something if that anger is purposeful and is going to drive a solution. But if you're just angry because somebody cut you up on the road, it's pointless. It's an absolute waste of time.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because like it's realistic and pragmatic was the word I was looking for. Because Marcus Aurelius was the emperor, he was the richest man in like the world, but he was still like he was still humble, and he was still sort of saying it's okay to have riches, just don't be a dick with
Yeah,
riches. So,
yeah,
which I kind of like, because some things would say, oh no, you can't have a Bentley because that's just no, please. But he was just like, basically, have a Bentley, but just be cool with it, which I like.
yeah, definitely. Is it something that you kind of have to like you actively try and practice every day, or is it just something that you try and remember in times where you're overcoming a challenge or an obstacle?
I think both. I think at the start, so Obstacle is the Way and Ego is the Enemy, those are incredible books. So I think with a lot of books and a lot of things, you read them and you have to kind of practice and you have to try and implement it. But with those books, and I've never had this before and I've never had it since, I read them and that was it. I'd sort of changed. I'm not saying, oh my God, I became an amazing person or whatever, but I just changed into a stoic way of thinking. I think because, for example, I think the ego, no, Obstacle is the Way has a lot of repetition. Like every chapter, when you kind of look at it in hindsight, there's a lot of repetition. So I think
Yeah,
somehow magically he's made you learn in the duration of reading the book. So at first, it just sort of happened, and I was like, oh, that's unusual. I'm not reacting, or I'm doing this. I'm being quite stoic. I think with the Daily Stoic book, it is something you become aware of every day, and it's something you practice, like in terms of like every morning when I read it, I think, okay, let's say yesterday, for example, what, could I apply this, or in the last month or week, or in my life, where would this lesson be useful? And I think that's sort of what I do in the morning as like a routine. But then generally, I think you kind of have to practice it naturally. If you get a stupid email from someone or a stupid message or something, you kind of have to be like stoicism, and that links
yeah.
to like meditation and mindfulness, and which kind of is what stoicism also is. So you definitely have to practice it, but I think after a while you don't think, oh, be a stoic. You're just sort of like, I'm a stoic, and it just happens.
Yeah.
So like with any philosophy or behavior change, yeah, it needs practice, but after a while it just happens, and it's lovely when it does.
So whose camp are you in? Are you a Seneca or are you a Marcus Aurelius man?
Mm. Oh, good question. I haven't read either of their books yet. I need to, so I can't
Maybe
answer.
I read Meditations and told you that was heavy. Definitely, if anyone's interested in Stoicism or wants to jump in, I'd definitely go with the Ryan Holiday book to start with because he breaks it down very well. Do not do what I did and jump into Meditations. That heavy.
I can imagine. So, from what I've read, I can't answer. I need to read the individual works. I do
Right.
like I like Epictetus as well. So, yeah, no answer, no comment.
All right, let's move on then. Let's move on. So you said at the beginning about your portfolio. I actually thought you were on 14. Well, of course, you just completed the other day, so 15 properties now was it 9 months?
In 8 months, so
8
it's
months.
so technically it's 14 in 8 months. The the 15th one was meant to complete last week, but the seller in auction, who had 2 months to do paperwork, hadn't done the paperwork.
Yeah, I remember now.
So it's completed now, maybe, or an hour ago. I haven't got an email, so
That's
it's
all right.
complete.
That's all right. Well, I'm not counting. Still, 14 or 15 in 8 months is incredible. And I just wondered what challenges have you had or faced in those, work progressing so quickly with your portfolio.
Everything. Like literally, name any aspect of any property business, and I'll tell you, it's been a total and complete challenge. But I think for the sake of this live, the main ones. Okay, so builders has been a big issue. Like investing, I don't know, 150, 180 miles from home, has its challenges, and they're not challenges that can't be overcome. They definitely can, because I've done it and I'm doing it. But investing far from home, having crap builders, and maybe not having the experience yourself of like learning or understanding things, and maybe using only one build team on too many projects leads to a breakdown of everything. Uh, so that was probably the biggest challenge. I've since learned that I've got a much better builder now. I keep things a lot tighter. The snagging or the checkups are done by my friends physically. Pay them whatever, 10, 15 quid. Go down, check a few properties, leave. That's it. I I guess I have learned to communicate better with builders, which is unless you've worked with them before, especially in like a kind of partnership, which it kind of becomes, you have to sort of learn and you have to take a bit of a back seat and just observe and not let your ego get in front of things, because there would have been fights all over the shop with everyone if you do that. So that's been a big challenge. I think you know what, like balancing all of this stuff has not been a challenge. I know people always say, "How do you balance podcast, brand, and
Yeah.
I, I don't know. I do outsource, not as much as you probably do, not as much as like the people the rest of this week on your lives are going to do. But the main thing is, I don't really have a life. That's the answer. Like,
Does
I
your
didn't
fiance
expect
know
that.
that?
Well, yes, she does.
Although she was
But
asking if you were single today, wasn't she? So
I
maybe
know.
you don't have a fiance anymore.
Yeah. I think she was trying to catch me slipping, and I was like, no, 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 I've not forgotten. Don't you worry about this. I think because I live at home, I see her on the weekends for the whole weekend. So the weekend is no work. It might be the odd Insta
Yeah,
story, but
right.
no work. 5 days a week, I have from 7 a.m. till midnight to work for now, at least for the next 6 months, and I have had it. So that's meant that I can balance everything, and I love branding, so that doesn't really count as work. I would outsource my property business before I outsource the branding, which is
Yeah,
opposite what many people say. But it will be a challenge. Like if you have kids, if you have pets, if you live with your partner, like balancing stuff then is going to be very tricky. I say that a lot of properties waiting. Like yes, I'm checking up on refurbs. Yes, I'm checking up on conveyancing, but I don't know if it's the same with you, but a lot of time it's just like, oh, yep, waiting for
yeah,
people to.
100%. I think that's spot on. I think there's a lot of times where I'm like, right, I need to do something, and then it's like, right, what can I do? And it's like, well, I can't do that because I'm just waiting for the builder to do it, and I can't wait to do that because the solicitors on it, and well, it's just, oh well, I can't order the kitchen because the kitchen's not due till next week, so oh, okay, what am I going to do? And I think also talking about balance, I think that's a really, really great point. I think very easy to get lost in your own business and just drown yourself. So to hear that, you are strict with yourself 5 days a week and you have the weekend off and you don't do anything property related is really good. And I think how do you find that helps you with your kind of your mindset and your focus? Is it you know that you can work hard and then play hard at the weekend and refresh yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I think the benefit it gives me is more like subconscious in that like what you said is the truth. That's objectively that's what it is. But then like during the week, it's not like I'm working in a 9 to 5, for example, where it's that, oh yeah, I can't wait for the weekend, blah blah
Yeah,
blah. It's more like, yeah, I'm so excited to spend time with my fiance and chill and whatever on the weekend. But and I do look forward to it, but it's not sort of consciously, it's not like the reason why I'm doing the work, or it's not like, oh yes, 4 more days. It's more just like it just gives you a total shut off, and like as much as it's never totally shut off, because hey, if I get an email or my builder messages me, I'm going to respond, but it barely happens. So I think the main thing is it gives your mind, like, it's like when you exercise, right? You just run a marathon, you need to rest, you need to literally like chill everything.
Yeah.
It's the same with your mind. It just gives you time to just do dumb stuff, watch Netflix, whatever, have half an hour more sleep, just cook, spend more time cooking than you would on a weekday. I think it just gives you that cutoff that you need to recharge more than anything. As simple as it sounds, it just gives you that break.
100%. We're big believers in balance. We were talking about this on James's podcast, J2 Hub, which came out today. That we want to do this to give ourselves more freedom and more ability to travel, but we still are traveling now, even though we're still starting out, we're still building our portfolio, because we think we're more productive if we have those breaks and we get off and we get to do the things that we love, to kind of recharge us and kind of inspire us again, to remind us why we're doing this, as opposed to just being like, right, 5 years, I'm not traveling, never going out of the country again, and I'm just going to be like 60-hour weeks, day job, come home and work till midnight, and you know what I mean? You're just going to burn out. You're just going to ruin yourself. So massive believers in balance, for sure. So your portfolio, it's all buy-to-lets, isn't it?
1 by 2 SA. If that's the thing, and some are flips, so they'll be replaced with buy-to-lets over the next, well, whenever I can buy my houses, basically.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm not gonna ask you the question everyone asks you, which is, when are you going to start moving on to bigger projects? I'm actually going to ask you, how do you handle that question being thrown at you all the time? Because I think there is this kind of peer pressure which comes as part of the whole course, property course kind of material mindset thing, that, oh, you do buy-to-lets for a bit and then you have to move on to HMOs, and then you have to move on to commercial conversions, and then you have to do property developments, and then you can never end. You've got to keep doing it until you can get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah. I think if it's a friend who's saying it, then I politely just say, shut the fuck up. I'm like, simple as that. And they understand, it's in everyone's nature to be like, oh, when are you going to do bigger stuff, because of what you said.
Yeah.
When people who I don't know, okay, so if I've met someone at a networking event and they ask me, I usually just question, loads of questions. What do you mean by bigger stuff? Why do you want to do bigger stuff? Oh, so you want millions of pounds worth of debt on your head and you're personally liable for 40% of it on something that's based on the market, and it may not sell, and you may have to pay still contributions, and this, and the build may go over, and you may have contaminated ground, and you want to deal with development. What that's, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Big things sound really, really exciting. I cannot wait for that risk. I want to wait 2 years to make this money. Yeah, really look. So I basically just kind of go through and say, right, okay, and I do it objectively. I say, look, that is great. Like, me, 2 years to make X many amount of money. It's great, and I'm gonna do a development in the future just because I like building stuff. But then I always question people and say, well, it's good to do bigger deals, but have you thought about the 1,000,001 things that can go wrong, and the type of debt that you're taking on? Like, yes, it's great for some people, and I encourage, do your thing, but like, I don't give a shit. Like, it's not for me, And I also then, like I did on my Instagram story today, kind of just explain, yeah, they are technically bigger things, but I want this to be as passive and hands-off as possible. Now, which of all the strategies is going to make that possible? There is one that is going to make it, which if we put it on a chart, one is going to make it the most passive. And it's not fucking rent to SA, is it? It's not development.
Oh, it is not. I can tell you that. It's not rent to SA.
Yeah, it's definitely not anything with SA in it, but it's buy-to-lets. So yes, they're slower. Yes, they bring in a little bit of money compared to HMOs. Yes, blah blah blah, but they work for me. And I know someone who said, Tej, I want to get into development straight away. And I said, look, I wouldn't. I think you should do 1 or 2 buy-to-lets first and then do it. They said, nah, it's not for me. And I said, look, do your thing. Just be aware of the risks. So it annoys me if it's asked with like a certain tone to it, you know, like, oh, when are you gonna do bigger things, you know? Buy-to-lets are great, Tej, but
Yeah.
when you, then I'm just like, oh, please. But if it's asked like a genuine question, then look, I'll explain why I do it and why I don't want to do developments.
But as well as it being kind of what you kind of taught in the courses as well, that I think there's also a bit of a shiny penny syndrome to it as well. That you know, someone else wants to do HMOs and you were going to do buy to lets, and then all of a sudden you're thinking, you start questioning yourself and saying, well, hang on, should I be doing HMOs? But then you go to the next person in the room and find out they're doing commercial conversions, and you're thinking, hang on, should I be doing commercial conversions? And I think it is very true what you're saying about you've just got to do what works for you and what your circumstances are. And everyone else's circumstances are different, and it's about understanding what is going to get you the quickest, not necessarily the quickest, sorry, what's going to get you to the end goal that you are aiming to achieve.
Yeah, I think there is definitely shiny penny syndrome, but you know what? It's so normal and it's so expected, and I honestly don't think that you can avoid it. I think everyone, you have to have that period of shiny penny. I think you have to, like, and what that means is don't go spending money on courses in every single strategy to decide. Speak to people doing this strategy. Go
Yeah.
to networking events. Get yourself in a crazy muddle. Be totally lost on what to do, and then work yourself out of it using your end goals as the kind of barometer for how much risk and how much you want to do. Because yeah, we're all gonna have it. Even if you've got 20 buy to lets and you're like, "Ooh, what should I do next?" You're still gonna hear you talking amazingly about HMOs, someone else doing incredible in commercial conversions, and you know you're never gonna be satisfied unless it links up with your end goals. And I've kind of done that because I realized what my end goals were early on.
Yeah.
And yeah, I know there's the thing about, oh, have less units producing more income, and again, it all depends on what you want. Like, I like interior designing, so the more houses I can buy, the happier I am. So it works for me.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I think we're in that boat though. We we picked HMOs because we've skipped buy to lets and gone to HMOs because we want the cash flow quicker, which is what HMO can give you because you're generating more cash flow per property. Okay, yeah, there might be a. I'm not saying there isn't a higher cost to get in, but that's why we've picked it. However, we do ultimately want the passiveness to it. Again, I don't believe that anything's a let and forget, but you're right. Buy to lets are going to be the most hand off approach. So we actually see ourselves kind of going from HMOs and almost going backwards and taking a step downwards to buy to let at a later date, and whether that might be buying blocks of flats or something. So again, we're still buying something big, you know, almost kind of bigger, but it's effectively giving us single let units so that we can build up that more hands off passive side of the portfolio as well.
Yeah, I think like that's the aim for me is to have, because a block of flats is a HMO with no humans touching, no one stealing the milk, no one pissing all over the floor. You know what I mean? Like, I like the thought of a HMO. I just don't like humans together in a space and regulation and things like that. Um, so yeah, I totally see what you're saying. I just thought of something though. You know, before you asked what my biggest challenges were,
Yeah,
can I add one more?
yeah, Kushko.
So I think one of the biggest challenges, and where being a stoic comes into action big time, is personal relationships. I think what a lot of people will find, right, is no matter how trustworthy someone is, or no matter how trustworthy you rate them, no matter the reputation they think they have, right, unless you can really, really see how genuine they are, money shows you who their real character is. I've had situations where there was money involved, and sometimes it was like 400 quid. Yeah, so it's like, you know, in property, it's not a lot of money.
No.
Sometimes it's been more, less, whatever. But anytime there's been money involved, people need to watch very carefully how people behave, because there's people who you think you trust, you think you know, and as soon as money gets involved, even the smallest amounts, you're like, who the fuck are you? Like, who have you become? Like, this is not the person you think they were. And I think too many people put a focus or a consciousness on money. And yes, it is important. Don't get me wrong. My phone costs money. Everything you need money to survive, right?
Yeah.
But valuing the actual cash, the money, the pound signs over a relationship or even over the bigger picture, which would make you more money anyway, really shows the character. So I've been shocked and surprised of certain people in all scopes of property and business that when money came into it, and actually it was like, I'm keeping score up here. So anytime something happens, yeah, we'll still be friends, we'll still carry on doing business, but I'm watching you,
Yeah.
and perception of you has changed. The mirror's cracked, and you can't, put some cork in that and fill that shit up. Those cracks are there forever. So yeah, I think stoicism and having a lack of importance on money it is huge. And when you have that moment where you're like, money's not that, you're still working for money and you want it, but when you realize it's really not that deep and not that important, it changes your perspective. And I don't give a shit about money. Yes, I want the Bentley and the house made of marble. Don't worry, this is happening. I already asked an architect. But it's not really about that. It's about the freedom to do something like that and
Yeah.
to then help people. So yeah, when it comes to money, just really honestly forgive but don't forget because you need to know who you're dealing with at all times.
I think as well, you complete everything you said has been completely spot on. And just to take that onto another side note as well about money is, um, I think if you are getting into property for the money, that is you're going to trip over that hurdle very quickly. That's not going to support you long enough to get you through the challenges that you're going to face. You need a bigger picture, kind of why then I want all the cash and I want all the fancy cars and all the things.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that with any kind of prejudice towards anybody about for wanting that. I've got a Tesla on my vision board. Do not worry. I've got the material things that I want on there. But you need something else to propel you to get to that level and have the money come as a side kind of benefit that once you get to that end goal.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you're not going to make it. It's not gonna prop you up when you're up at 3 a.m. writing emails to solicitors. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I feel you, man, 100%.
So I just saw a question before from Irfan, I think it was. I'm not going to answer it right now, but if people want to be putting some questions in the chat, we will get to them in about 5 or 10 minutes time, and we'll scroll back through and get to them. And Irfan, yeah, you can have your Lambo, mate. That's not a problem. Don't worry at all. So not just now in quarantine, just kind of in general as well. Have you got any kind of regular daily routines or habits that you do?
So shock horror, I don't get up at 5 a.m. Although my eyes constantly look like I get up at 5 a.m. So
You only
I
got up
don't
at
know.
5 p.m. That's why you were late for the call, mate.
That was a power nap that was very empowering. You know what? I'm not very good at schedule or routine. Now, I've tried to have a routine and to block my diary out,
Yeah.
and the fact that my mind and body rejects it so much is a sign to me. Like I get that Ray Dalio gets up at 4:79. That's not even the time. It is America, and he has a black tea with this much, and Grant Cardone, who's a knob anyway, like does it. Like I get that, and I get there's thousands of stories of success who have schedules and have routines, and I 100% see the benefit, and I probably would be more productive with it, but I just really struggle. So the best I've got out of routine is I wake up, I meditate for 3 to 5 minutes. I normally do it before I go to bed for 10 minutes, so that's the bulk of my meditation. But 3 to 5 minutes in the morning, I read the page of Daily Stoic and sort of ponder that. I write down 3 things I'm grateful for, and I was going to do affirmations, but I've lost the sheet. So, but it's somewhere here. I need to do affirmations as well. This is how lack of structure I am. But for me, you know what? To be honest, I probably spend about half an hour before then, just maybe on my phone, maybe just reading, just not working, just I don't know, letting my body sort of acclimatize to the day. Monday mornings, usually I don't start work till 10, 11. I'm just I'm vibes in before. I'm just whatever. I can't deal with getting up early sometimes. So it sounds really erratic, and I suppose it is. But
But
I
if
even
that's what works for you, that's what works for you. There's no right. I don't. It didn't need you to pull out your timetable and your your stopwatch where you're keeping track and making sure you're moving on to each task at the right time and whatnot. It's about kind of doing what's right for you. And if
mm,
that's not a routine, and if you find that you're better off being kind of a bit more kind of sporadic, and that makes you more creative, and you find that jumping from task to task keeps you kind of not entertained, that's not the right word, but you know what I mean? It keeps you engaged with stuff, and it's like, okay, I'll do this for a bit and I'll jump onto this, and it's
mm,
switching up the different sides of the brains. Then that go for it. You don't need to be routine, and I think that's a lesson for people to kind of hear. There's not You don't have to have this structure. You don't have to be getting up at 5 a.m. I cannot get up at 5 a.m. I do not know. I only know that there's a 5 a.m. if I'm still up from the night before. Like there's no way I wake up at that time, and that's never going to change.
yeah, I think you've taken the most important thing out of that, which is it totally depends on you. But if you do struggle, to keep motivation to stay focused, then get a routine in place. I mean, I have other things like I go gym at a certain time in the morning. I'll learn Spanish at 6 o'clock every day. There are certain things. Pomodoro technique is really, really useful. Have a Google of that, everyone. So yeah, do what works for you. I always say that in every aspect. Just whatever works for you.
And is there anything you've added in since the lockdowns come in? Anything that's newly into your routine?
I think I've changed the time of exercise to be about 8 p.m. because I actually don't know why I've done. I think because the family here and they're all walking around, and I want to be just alone on the deck, just exercising. I don't want anyone walking in and out. You know what I mean? I'm just in the zone. So I that's what I've changed. I mean, every Friday now I do like a 15-minute Zoom session with like 8 or 10 people, which I'm sort of doing just for
Yeah,
free.
I'm saying that that's a really, really great thing for you that you've been putting on.
Thank you.
I hope people
Um,
are jumping on that opportunity.
they are. It's getting booked up. Like it's just instant, which is great. Uh, that's the only thing I've added. Otherwise, doing lives. I started doing lives a few weeks ago with a few people, and then, but no, like, uh, no, not really. Is the answer. Yeah, it's the same. It's the same basically.
So, have we had any questions? Has anyone seen one that I've missed? I've got Airfan. So, Airfan, best way to get quality tenants in HMOs. I think try and vet them before they get to view the property. So, try and get through the referencing and things like that online, because that's where you are going to wean out the kind of time wasters and things like that, and you can already, you might not offer to give a room to somebody and then find out that they don't have a guarantee or whatever. You can start to wean out the ones early on. That'd be my best tip. Has anyone else posted a question that I might have missed? If you have, please stick it back in again. While we're waiting, we'll ask some more questions. So I told you that you were going to get one scripted question, and I now got up to three, and I've not told you what the other two are. So you're going to have to think of it on the spot, mate.
Okay.
So, have you got a favorite quote or a one-liner or kind of motto that you regularly refer back to or kind of inspires you?
I don't refer back to it, but someone else asked me this on the spot, and it just came to me, and so it is my default answer for now. I think this is Stoic. I think it was Seneca who said it. I'm not sure, but I think this underlines life, and if we all followed this principle, as hippie as it sounds, I think we'd all be a lot nicer, and there'd be a lot less wars, and it'd just be a nice place to live. The Earth. I'm not saying it's bad, but it is in a lot of parts. Anyways, um, if it is not right, do not do it. And if it is not true, do not say it.
Love it. Very, very good. Very philosophical, and I think you're probably right. Very stoic. So we've got some questions coming in now, so you can have a break. I'll shock you with the other questions in a minute. So, how do you build your power team when you are away from your investment area? That's come from Free Soul Beach Lover.
So, you know what? It's almost the same way you do it in your area. To be honest, you don't need to find you don't need to have more FaceTime with people. You can definitely get it. Recommendations are the best way. When you are on site, walking around, going on other people's projects who have scaffolding in a site and saying, "Hey, what you doing, guys? You looking for more work, etc., etc." Going to Juicens, Howdens, Magnet, saying, "Hey, who do you work with that you recommend that I can hold you liable for if something goes wrong?" Just talk to people, speak to people. Networking events, quite a few builders that go. Facebook, check a trade. It's kind of all the usual ways. Yes, it's harder when you're not on site, but when you make that first decision, I didn't because they came well recommended, but for my good builders now. But yeah, it's the same ways. Recommendations are the most powerful because there's two relationships at stake there, which I like.
Yeah, I mean we invest in our local area, but I'll just add from that we really like using things like Checker Trade and My Builder because it's that kind of Airbnb-esque mentality, like where people are getting reviewed, and so
Mm-hmm.
you can see what you know what people have been saying about them, and you've also got that kind of security that they're going to do a good job because they know they're going to get reviewed and it's going to hinder them. So yeah, I definitely think that's a great way to build it. Saif Rihan, who is going to be is going to be one of the guests next week. He's asking, how do we both prevent comparing ourselves to others? Instagram is a dangerous place for this. I'll let you go first.
You know what? It just goes back to stoicism. Like your ego wants to say, "How have they got this? How have they done that?" But I think the first thing to realize is most of the time people are stunting. I have I have three friends. This is not boasting. Who have Lamborghinis? How difficult is it for me to go to their house, take pictures, make a few things with their cars, and for you to think I'm an instant millionaire? Easy. I bet people in this chat wouldn't believe it because they're savvy and because they're in this chat. But the rest of Instagram would 100% be like, "Yo, who's this baller?" Right? So the first thing is to realize that most of it's bullshit anyway. Secondly, if you're not, into materialistic things, but you appreciate beauty, this is an important point here. When you see a Lamborghini or a sexy car, you don't think, "Oh, I haven't got that," or "Oh, I want that." You think, "That is really sexy. I love that design." And I think what I do, and this sounds weird, is like I kind of take a deep breath and I inhale the inspiration. So I literally am like, yeah. And then I get inspired. And it's like a physical act of combining
Yeah,
seeing something which may make you want to compare, just being like, I'm gonna use that energy to have that if I want it. But say I think the most important thing is like, yeah, most of the time it's bullshit. You know, do your thing and achieve what you want to achieve because yes, someone might have £1 million house in, I don't know, somewhere nice, Cheshire up by you, right? But they could also hate themselves
you
and
really don't know the North, mate.
no, I just said somewhere. Was it Chester? Chester. I meant Chester. Chester, posh, isn't it? Oh,
No, it's posh, but it's not near me.
no, you know what I mean. Outside the M25. So like you do not know the problems they're going through. So be blessed and humble and fortunate for what you do have, because you probably wouldn't want the problems they have, and they probably wouldn't want the problems you have.
Yeah, definitely. I'm actually going to skip it and I'm not going to answer. And say if you have to ask me when we're on our live together, but I am going to add to it. Right, it's the kind of the saying, keeping up with the Joneses, isn't it? And it's about getting yourself out of that trap, really. Akoto Nana, Akoto Properties asking, what's the end game for you guys in property if there is one?
Uh,
Ed just already said it's Bentley.
I think the end game is to get to sort of like 10, 15,000 pounds a month net profit. Probably more because, we say we're going to stop. Ooh, it's just unlikely. And then I'll start bridging out my money, either with bridges or either to people like that I've built relationships with that I know that are doing amazing things who want to carry on doing the work. Then also kind of diversify my investments and then launch a restaurant, a car garage, a branding agency, and a few other businesses. So property is not like I'm doing this till I die. It'll be I'm 26, so I've kind of said by the time I get to 30, I want to kind of be done with property in terms of actively doing stuff. So yeah, the end game in property is just then a transition to another business. Because I like business and I like different things, and I know in 2 or 3 years, I'm going to be bored, and I'll have done what I kind of came to do and built what I want to build, and
You
it's time to
came, you saw, you conquered, and you've moved on.
veni vidi vidici. Yeah.
Yeah, we're the same. We're doing this because we want to travel the world. We want to visit every country in the world. We're only about 25% of the way through, so we've got a lot still to go and see. We want this to kind of help fund that, and yeah, again, a bit similar to you. I love my photography. I haven't had my I put my camera away about 18 months ago and said I wasn't getting it back out again until I was financially free. So I've kind of want to get that back out and get back on the road again, taking photographs. You know, Mary she teaches architecture and she loves doing that. She still wants to carry on doing that. You know, we're here doing this course and this kind of mindset series, and that's something that I'm personally really passionate about, helping people to understand that there's more to life than that kind of 9 to 5 rat race. And if I can free up my time, you know, by being financially free to help other people understand that and look at avenues that they can also get themselves to be financially free, that would be great. So yeah, there's plenty of avenues in the future that we'll be looking
I
at.
think that what I said though is my answer was the end game. There's plenty of goals and personal reasons, like traveling. I love traveling and cooking that come with it, but that's the end game.
Yeah. Brighter investment. For anyone new in property, I have a mentee that asked me, how did Tej grow his portfolio so quickly? How can I do the same? Interested to know the response.
Well, I think I should be mentoring him then in this case because I'm fucking with you. I know Bright Investments. I can say that I know him. Uh, sense of humor, thick skin, but make sure you keep it moisturized. Uh, an emotional detachment to most things in business, resilience, uh, a crazy relentlessness, and by having an incredible team around me. My solicitors, great, broker, great, bridges, great, investors, great, friends, network, everything, incredible. So yes, I'm the boss, the CEO, but I'm just making sure that stuff's happening. I can't do conveyancing as much as I love the legal stuff. I can't build stuff as much as I like, building stuff. So having a great team around you and having all the qualities I mentioned, and having what Gary Vee says this a lot. I think he says micro impatience, macro patience. So what that means is I perceive it as have patience in the grand scheme of things. So look, you know what, we're getting to our goals and I'm chilled, I'm 20 whatever, I'm 30, I'm 40 whatever. I've got time. Here's my macro patience. But day to day, when shit needs to get done and things aren't working out, you need impatience to be like, yo, let's get this done. And that's the relentlessness. So I think that summarizes it very well. But also listen to my podcast. There's lots of stuff, and I detail the whole journey, as you know, Romero.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Stan, he knows the answer to this because I've told him in private messages, but I'll let you answer as well, although I can see where it's going. Should I go for a personal mentor or a property course? My opinion is if you want to get the information quickly and have it handed to you, go on a property course, but go on a course specifically for what you want to do. Don't go on something generic. And then once you've got that kind of base knowledge, I would go with a personal mentor.
Exactly what you said. You don't need a mentor if you have no knowledge, and you don't need a course if you already have that knowledge. So what you just said.
Bricks to pounds. How do you stay disciplined to your goals?
How do I stay disciplined? Exercise, taking breaks, learning a language to again engage a different side of my brain, uh, leaving the house when we could. I think having like a vision board and having goals and being driven by something helps you stay disciplined because I know I need to be this disciplined to get another property to have another interior design on my hand. So that's what motivates me. It's not the cash flow, it's not the asset, it's literally right, what kitchen are we doing, what bathroom honestly, that is what I think about. And that motivates me more than anything. Like what is a tenant going to say when they see this? Like I love it. So for me, it's that little thing, but for you, it could be building up a pot for your kids or your puppies or kittens or whatever people do.
Yeah, again, I think it's that bigger picture. You've got to understand why you're doing it. That's the discipline. One of my favourite quotes is "Discipline equals freedom" by Jocko Willink, and it's about that understanding that people perceive discipline and kind of routine as being restrictive, and not, people claim that they want to be able to do what they want when they want. But what I think you've got to understand is you've got to be disciplined with those little things that allow you to have that freedom, and if you're keeping that in mind, that's what will keep you motivated on kind of towards your goals.
Like health and fitness, you got to eat the right stuff every day consistently, and stop eating little bad things that are bad for you, and to get
Yeah,
to stuff.
don't be on my COVID diet. It is not going well. Um, do you think you could have replicated your portfolio in England, and why did you pick South Wales?
I picked it because it's basically the same as a few areas. South Wales, Liverpool, the Northeast, some other parts of the Northwest, Scotland. You can all do BRR very well there, and there's low entry prices, strong rental, strong sales. There's nothing special about it. There's nothing special about these areas. If I had the choice in terms of if I lived closer and I could bear with even more driving, I would do Liverpool without a doubt because of the capital appreciation, and it's such an economic and metro city, and all this stuff's happening, and it's all hipster and great, you know. Um, so I would choose
Love
Liverpool.
the
But
hipster, don't you, mate?
well, listen, where the vegans and hipsters go is capital appreciation. Trust me, it's a new rule. Forget Lidl and Waitrose and all that crap. Old school, like vegans and hipsters. But so England, yes, absolutely, you could do the same in the places I said. Yorkshire, where I think you invest, is because it's so big. It has so many opportunities there. Teesside, also, you could Teesside, yeah, that is England.
I
Yeah.
definitely think. I think you've gone to South Wales for your reasons, but I think if you look hard enough and you take the right strategy to that area, you will find that the area will work,
100%.
regardless of where you go. Um, there has been a few more. I'm just gonna have one more question, which was from Napa about would you ever consider writing a book? Because I've heard a rumor that you are.
Yes, I am. So I'm actually writing two. One is like memoirs, which apparently my fiance told me is not the right word. But I'm sticking with it, of a property investor. So it's kind of like a diary. Like every day, every other day, every 3 days, I've been writing just what's happened, and then like a tip from it. So it was meant to be 365 days a property investor, but obviously that'll take a year to release. So I'm going to do 180 days or whatever, the half of 365. And basically, every day will have like a story or a real life thing that happened to me and how I felt about it, and then a tip, which is literally the take home, don't do this or do this from that lesson. But kind of along that, because we've got 3 weeks now of lockdown, I am going to write a book. I'm pretty sure it's going to be on BRR because, as far as I know, there aren't any books on this strategy, like actually going through it. There's a book my friend Bronwyn Verncombe wrote. She's been on the podcast. Really good book. One of my favorites. I can't remember what it's called, but ask me and I'll send you a name. Really good book. But there's been nothing that's just like, here's BRR. Maybe because it's all in courses, so they flirt with it and then they direct you in the course. But I'm just going to be like, yeah, 15 quid for the book or whatever. Here's everything. So let's see what happens.
Look forward to seeing that one coming out. I'm sure it'll be really useful to people. So we are coming down to the last minute. So I have got two quick fire questions for you, and then I'm going to give you a chance to tell people where to find you. So what's your one book recommendation that you would give to people?
Anything by Ryan Holiday, all of his books.
I'll accept that. Great answer. And what's one thing that you're learning during the lockdown?
That I have a good amount of discipline and self-control with my diet, my exercise, and being at home this whole time, even though I'm quite a social person.
That's good. I like it. You've got 25 seconds to tell people where they can find you.
Tej.talks on Instagram, Tej Singh on Facebook and LinkedIn, and tej-talks.com or tejinvests.com.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining me, mate. And thank you, everyone else, for coming and watching and listening in, and hope you found some useful tips out of it. And we have got 5 seconds left, so I'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye, everyone.